Hello there. Going to do part 2 of chapter 1 from my book. Let's see. So probably what I will do is I'm not going to probably comment or disgrace my own work throughout my reading. I'll probably wait till after I finish a chapter, then I'll come out with like a recap video, which will probably be right after this one. So yeah, keep posted for me to say, oh, the things I would have liked to improve, things I could have done differently, because I'm actually proud of what I've done so far. Yeah, but just differences. Let's see where I was. Hello. Then flew away. Yep. That's it. Barely got anywhere in the book. So, a war to eliminate the most powerful elemental race had begun. At least, the elven elders said a war had begun. The elders said they felt a turning point in the dragon's power. Whatever that meant. All she had known was that fighting had begun within the dragon's colony. However, Lier did not care for what it was. She did not understand why her sisters of the forest would have to fight and die for something that only seemed to affect the humans as the dragons fought above the humans' encampments. Lier tightly held the reins of her Eldir as she looked around at her sisters in the caravan, all marching to war. The caravan had just emerged from the elven woods and ahead was the human-occupied hilled plains. That is unusual, said a flat voice near Lier, which was followed by gasps. Lier followed the gazes of the other elves. It can't be, Lier whispered, amazed. The night was dark, but ahead of them, just within the reach of the elves' gifted vision, they saw fire light up the ground as 3 blood-red dragons flew in, scorching everything in front of them. In a straight line, the elves watched as the dragons suddenly... The elves watched as the dragons suddenly came to a stop when a solid black dragon, which had only been noticeable due to its scales reflecting the moonlight, dropped down on the lead red dragon, which was double his size, and pulled her out of their sight. Oh. The other 2 dragons stopped in midair to watch, and after several moments, they let out a burst of fire and turned to flee. The black dragon flew back up into view, alone, bursting through their fire and chased after the other 2 until they were all out of the elves' sight. All around, Lier, the ladies mounted on their Eldir, gossiped, intrigued by the oddity. The males who were marching by foot held their tongues as the females spoke, fighting one of their own? Why are we elves involving ourselves with the squabbles of humans and dragons? And why must I be here? Lier was a rare jewel in her race, as she had narrow blue eyes, the color of ice, and ears that went straight back, which was unique in the elves whose ears would normally tend upwards. And she had shoulder-length red hair. As far as Lier knew, red hair was the only thing she got from her mother. Lier was young, barely in her 200th cycle, and untrained. She was not expected... I lost myself. She was not expected to have seen combat training until right before her 300th cycle, but because the elders decided to join in the squabbles of the dragons, and the fact that she was her mother's daughter, war had come, and so she must go as she was expected to show honor to her mother. And so, being driven by standing and expectation, Lier had joined the war. A war that made no sense to her. What do we care about the place of the elementals? Lier mumbled to herself. Lier saw the black dragon once again as he flew off in the opposite direction from which the original three attacked from. All right now, everyone, report to your unit, said the elven woman in charge of the caravan, jarring Lier out of her musings. When they made it to the camp, the elven women got off their eldiers and headed in different directions, rushing into and out of the tents. The whole place was in an uproar with new arrivals. Lier remained seated atop her eldier, not knowing what to do. Oh, that was right. Can't even turn a page. You there. What unit are you with? The caravan leader shouted, marching towards her. I am sorry. I am not sure. I was just told to ride out with your group. Lier responded to the leader, who had silver hair, violet eyes, and was by far taller than most elves. With a body that spoke of great breeding, she appeared to have strength many dreamt of. "Oh, matriarch above, they sent us a child," the leader said, looking up and down. Looking Lier up and down. Would have been more useful to finish that. A sapling. I don't have time. Direction. The cells are a good place for the useless to go. And I am sure whatever you were supposed to be, and I am sure wherever you're supposed to be, you will find another sapling easy enough. The leader chuckled at the last bit. Okay, Lier said with a respectful bow. The leader stared back with a dead response. Thank you, Lier added as an afterthought. Sighing, the leader instructed, Child, when speaking with a superior, you start with ma'am and end with ma'am. Or you will find yourself inside the cells you should have been guarding, she added flatly as she walked away. Elves had the habit of being rude. Not to be hurtful, of course, but just because it was expected. The elves saw emotion as a weakness. So somehow it translated into being rude. Just about all the time. Lier always thought that in itself was an emotion, but she could never get a straight answer. For her teachers, only more rude comments about her questions. For straight answers from her teachers, only more rude comments for her questions. Lier dismounted and bowed to the leader's departing form, then headed in the direction the woman had directed her to go as a camp guard. She made her way past the prestigious tents made of branches and leaves, which had been elegantly woven to look as if they had grown that way, naturally, all with unique colors, not just of the green of spring, but various reds and yellows of fall, each color defining the station and rank or wealth of the tent occupant. The smell of flowers was so potent it was like walking through a field of fresh flowers. The scent wafted through the air, coating Lier in the smell of home, which allowed all the elves to feel more at peace in this foreign and strange, flat, open land. Lier was lost in the sights and smells of the camp until she heard a particular noise, a noise different from the other sounds of the lively camp, which with happy creatures running around. Someone is crying, she thought. Lier followed the sound around the corner and saw the prison cells. "Hey, new recruit!" yelled a guard in her direction. The other guards looked her over. "She looks more lost than most new recruits," one of the other guards said. "Hey, sapling! Hey, sapling!" The guard called out again, looking back at the other guards. "I think we lost her. She does not seem to be registering anything," she finished with a sarcastic tone. Lier was not paying much mind to the women as they spoke to and about her. Her gaze was fixed on the cells. "Humans," she whispered. She had never seen one before. She was astonished at how alike to her race they seemed. Her education had made them out to be more than animals. But here they were crying over their situation and looking completely like the elves, other than their funny short rounded ears and rounder faces, as elven faces had sharper features and the bland colors of their hair. Only yellows and browns, with a few with gray. However, the animal correlation did make some sense. The humans in the cells seemed to clothe themselves in animal skins, which was savage to the elves. Which was savage to the elves' way of thinking. Animals are a part of nature, and one must keep balance with it. It was contrary to how the elves dressed, which was in clothes and armor made of woven vines and bark, and enchanted in some way. "Hey, look at that! The lost one smiles at seeing crying humans," commented another guard, which was followed by chuckles from the other women. Lier whipped towards the guards, spitting out, "I am not smiling at their state," then immediately went stoic for having let her emotions show so easily. "Ma'am, sorry, ma'am," she said while dropping her head. "Foolish of me to let my emotions slip again," she berated herself in her thoughts. The guards began a monotone laugh. Lier's head shot up at them, confused. "What?" she inquired, while struggling to control her emotions. "Listen here, sapling," the guard at the head of the group said while striding forward. "You have got to learn the difference between titles. We are all the same rank here." The guard stopped in front of Lier. Lier was puzzled. How am I supposed to know someone's rank? One of the other guards spoke up. "You don't need to know the rank," she replied flatly. "If they have a cord," she continued, gesturing across her chest where a cord would lie, "all you need to know is you have got to pay them respect. Learning the different chords is not important unless you have a chord." "In other words," the lead guard continued, "as long as someone is wearing a cord, then a nobody like us will address them as ma'am." "Well, just in case, I would like to know," the guard in the back replied. "First, there are those of us with no cord, also known as saplings. Then next from there is blue for sprout, green for seedling, yellow for bud, brown for leaf, orange flower, amber branch, red roots, pink tree, and finally there is violet for forest. The higher on the list, the fewer of them there are. There is only one violet cord, for example. She finished her lesson. "Oh," Lier said aloud, flatly. The other guard interjected. "And most people are called by their colored cord, not so much their actual title. Blue leader, green leader, yellow leader, and you get the rest," the guard finished. Lier paled as she remembered back to the beginning of the convoy when she was handed her outfit by a runner. Not knowing what entirely to do with everything, she put on what she believed was necessary, and what she did not know how to wear, she put back in the bag she was carrying with her. "And in that bag is my amber cord," she thought. "Is everything all right?" the girl in front questioned, gently gripping her bag and looking back at the guard. Lier replied, "Yes, I am fine." "Oh, by the way, my name is Neri," the guard in front said. "This is Valerie, Sarah Lee, and the mute in the back is Mehi," gesturing from her right to her left, and then throwing a finger to the back where a woman still sat on the boxes in the courtyard. "I am not a mute," Mehi snapped back. "Oh, and you call me Sarah. Oh, and call me Sarah. It is really all I respond to," Sarah Lee said. All four of them were quite similar, Lier realized. They all shared the same thin face and height. They could almost pass as blood sisters. The only difference between them was their eyes and hair. Neri had emerald green eyes with raven black hair. Valerie had sapphire eyes with hair as blue as the sky. Sarah had striking light blue eyes with gold hair, and Mehi had brown eyes with dark hair. Not everyone can be special, Lier thought. "Nice to meet you all, and thank you for the information," Lier said after making eye contact and bowing to each one individually. Lier hesitated, then said, "I was kind of forced into this. I should not be here." Valerie looked at Lier, as if analyzing her, then said with a sigh, "I doubt you will be the only untrained elf sent to the battlefield." She stared off into the distance. "I have a bad feeling about this whole thing." An awkward silence fell upon the guards. Not knowing what else to do, Lier decided to remain there for the time being. "So what is our purpose here?" she asked inquisitively. "Well, our sprout leader, or whatever color they are sending to us, is not here yet," Mayhe finally said. "But we are supposed to be interrogating these humans about the incident in the sky." "The battling dragons?" Lier asked, beaming with interest. "Let's get started." Lier turned towards the cages as Neri grabbed her by the shoulder, spinning her around, and looked at her. "Well, we would have, but there is a slight complication." Lier was puzzled. "Complication?" "Well, first of all, none of us know how to speak the human tongue," Sarah remarked. "And secondly, apparently they took a lot of offense at their males being killed," Valerie said while shrugging her shoulders. Yes, the soldiers who brought the prisoners here could speak a bit of human, and said that is why they were crying and refusing to speak with them. Neri sighed as she looked into the cells. "So, naturally, it became our problem to solve." Mayhe had moved closer during the course of the conversation, and was now slightly behind the rest of the guards. Lier turned back around to look upon the I gotta breathe. Lier turned back to look upon the wood-grown cages. The cages were comprised of small tree trunks which rose straight up from the ground into the air, with vines overlapping, creating a canopy, and thin branches on the trunks, which blew freely with the wind. The trunks were wide apart, giving the appearance that if anyone would just brush these branches aside, they would be able to slip through. But Lier knew well enough that if or when someone tried to escape between the trunks, the branches would close in around them and lock them in place. Living cells. Only those with magic could find their way out, which was thought to be impossible, since magic was concealed out of the cells. Cancelled out of the cells. No one was really sure as to why, but there was speculation that the cells maintained their strength as they were draining the magic from the living beings contained inside them. "I can speak the human tongue," Lier said quietly, and approached the cells. I think I'm going to end it there, because it's just about to start with the actual language, because it says, "Tu elot está ne regret." Yeah, and I just don't want to get into stumbling over that right now for a made-up language. No point. I'll get to that next time. I was hoping this would be the last one, but nope, apparently not even done with the chapter yet. How long is this chapter? Oh my gosh. No, that's chapter 3. Where's the end of this thing? Did I accidentally? Oh, okay. 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 So, next one will be really short, which will be good. I'll be happy about that. Yeah. Again, I wish I would have described the magic a little better. I know exactly what I was going for. You know what? I'm going to do this video after I do the first chapter. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about what I was planning on doing. Or what I did do. I created an entire magic system. I wrote it all down. The problem is, when you know something too well, it's easier for your mind to create it for you. That when I was writing it, it all made sense. Because I wrote it. I have an entire system down. So, yeah, when you know too much, it's easier to forget to add certain things. Thank you all for watching. Talk to you next time. Toodles.
And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Or read to you next time. Toodles. Buy my book.